major thing that we want to talk about today is social media and skincare and the preteens target. So one thing that I've realized is growing up without social media or growing up in kind of the 90s, skincare wasn't a huge point for preteens. It wasn't even really a big point for teens unless you had some serious skin issues like, you know, acne and those types of things. Um, Something that was massive against throughout my schooling was good old Roaccutane. That was a big thing across multiple people that I knew in high school. And one of the funny things was is that everyone used to take it because on the bottle it said you if you drink with alcohol, you get drunker.
Yeah.
So people would be handing out Roaccutane pills like at parties all the time when we were younger.
That is an
So they were
awful
great.
thing to do. Awful.
Yeah, no one listened to me. That's a terrible thing, but we did actually, in fact, do it. So that and yeah, how
Oh,
did
so
it
you
damage
did it.
my face? Oh yeah, I didn't.
Any
I didn't
side
ever have
effects? Notable side effects you want to share with the class?
that. I got drunk. Yeah, got drunk at the off my Midori. What was it?
Oh, not
Midori.
Midori.
Oh, I fucking love
Oh my
Midori.
god.
It was my go-to drink. Good old
Was it?
green
Oh
bottle.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And we used to be able to like go to the local see, the kids just don't have it fun anymore because guaranteed they wouldn't be able to go to the local liquor
Liquor
store.
store.
Uh, well, ours was like in Chinatown, and basically you go in, you hold, what do you call it, car keys in your hand, and pretend that you are like driving in. You're in your 30s. I also looked like this when I was growing up, so I had no issue. I always went in there, and nobody asked me for ID. I don't even think I got asked for ID for any time. So
Really?
anyway, yeah, so that was a big thing going around our school, but actual skincare wasn't something that we talked about. It wasn't something that we even really saw a lot of, especially in that younger generation. And one of the things that made you and I talk about it previously was my niece is 11 and she's really into skincare because of social media. So this was something that, my sister and I had talked about. And the big thing for me was, ugh, like I love that she's thinking about skincare, but all I thought to myself was there's so many dangerous products for young skin out there. And I don't think that's a big topic that's been talked about. I think people are excited that younger people are into skincare, which is again great, but I think they don't really understand what it can do. So I wonder if, yeah, you had thoughts on this.
I do. I have a lot of thoughts. Skincare is great. It's like you said, it's a fantastic thing. I think the most important thing that we want to take away, especially for that age, is that you start setting habits into
Mm,
place so that, you set yourself for the better. Like, you feel great in your 30s and in your 40s and stuff like
mm,
that. Um, like brushing your teeth, it's you don't even think about it. It's just a habit. You go and do it. I think sunscreen is one of the first things that I would say is necessary at that age, to really do it daily. The other thing is, I would say that unless, depending on where you live in the world, if you live in a very dry
mm,
climate, you could actually benefit from using a moisturizer and stuff like that.
mm,
But yeah, anything that is really has been targeted to adults definitely is something that needs to be avoided, because it will most likely contain an ingredient that is at a strength, that is treating something for, adult concerns like wrinkles or, texture and things like that. So
yeah.
lots of acids, lots of retinol, all of those things are really, really bad for younger skin. And I think that one of the biggest concerns actually for me when I start reading up about this is that these kids, I mean, I don't remember reading instructions. I asked my parents, is
Never.
like, is this,
Still
what do
don't.
I do? And then they'll tell me, and then that's it. But if you don't, I mean, you could overuse acids, which
Mm,
definitely is a huge thing. I remember when I was, I think it was cleansers, the first thing I ever got introduced to,
mm,
because I started getting cystic acne when I was a teenager.
jeez.
And my mom I want to find out what it was. It was a Clinique tiny little bottle.
Mm.
And it was like a gel. And if I got an acne, she would put it on it and it would burn,
Oh
like
yeah.
burn. And then the whole thing would turn white.
and
And
then like
then it
fall
would
off.
dry. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know what sorcery that was, but I do want to find out. It was probably something really, really bad,
Mm.
like the highest strength acid there
Acid.
was, or some shit like that. Anyway, it was really bad, and I feel like it did make my acne mature quicker.
Mm.
So I think it did do something. But apart from that, the only other thing that I was ever introduced to was a physical exfoliant, which back in
Mm. Same.
our time, physical exfoliants were huge, especially the
Huge.
St. Eve's apricot
Oh,
scrub.
scrub.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, oh my god,
Yeah.
that thing. I would definitely, you could see micro tears in your skin after. But it was one of those things. Is that what that is?
Guaranteed
Still
that's
using
what
it.
that is. No. This is and this is the worst thing. This is damage from what I did from when I was
Yeah.
younger. So
Yeah.
we've had a chat about this is when I used Neutrogena's acne wash because like one time I got a pimple or something because I didn't have bad acne. I just get like the spots every now and then. And I used it and it peeled off multiple layers of my skin. So I still remember I washed my face. I was like, this stings a little bit. Went to bed, and in by the morning, my face had gone hard. Like the skin level on my face had
Oh
hardened because
god.
it basically burnt the ever living goddamn shit out of my face. And worse still, like I was then like, oh my god, what am I going to do? And so I started putting bio oil on my face because that was one of the things that I got recommended um,
Yeah.
to do on my face. And it just over a week period, it just peeled an entire layer of my skin. Now, don't get me wrong, my skin underneath, beautiful,
Yeah,
but
but look at you
red
now.
as all shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do truly
Yeah.
believe that's been a massive part of it. Um, and realistically, again, not knowing anything about skincare and learning it all from social media myself in my 30s, one of the things I was doing is using like those brushes, like the,
Oh,
those
I
things.
know. I was victim to that too, I have to admit.
But my face
Because
felt
social
buffed
media
and
just,
beautiful. But yeah, no, pretty sure that
no.
fucked up a fair bit
No,
too.
it's really, really bad. So, just a quick rundown. I
Mm,
don't know if I actually explained this to you before, but it
mm,
was definitely like when I learned that, I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, there is, because it's called chemical exfoliants, people are like, ooh, chemicals, it's
mm,
terrible. You don't want that. You want to use physical so you get to control. Bullshit. You don't control shit. Because, like the St. Eve's apricot scrub,
mm,
that shit is sharp and it
mm,
will do micro tears, and then your face is going to freak out because now you're getting attacked and you don't know why.
mm,
So you're going to get red and you're going to have like potential, infections that could
mm.
happen if you don't take good care of it. Anyway, so the how physical exfoliants, that's what happens. You're actually really like using sandpaper essentially
Yeah.
to take off the superficial layer of your skin that is like dead skin cells. Chemical exfoliants work differently. What they do, so there's like, it's kind of like the glue in between the building blocks of your skin cells. What
Mm.
it does is that it dissolves that so that it only lets go of the dead skin
The
cells
dead.
as, yeah. So you're not really, it's not abrasive at all. It's just your
Mm.
dead skin cells just go like poof, and
Bop.
they just fall off. So it's very gentle. So
Yeah.
for honestly, I've sworn off physical
Mm.
exfoliants since I learned that fact, because the reality is that, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just too
The
rough for your skin.
and I mean also again doing this as a teenager as well is where I really think
Oh my
my
god,
skin
yeah,
was not bad as a teenager.
yeah.
Like I just oh god I had lovely
I bet you
skin,
wish you'd stick with that pimple now.
mate. Definitely. Because this stuff here, I can't get rid of. Like, I have
No.
tried a lot of different techniques and stuff. But again, I'm learning this all from online. I'm not doing this at a proper level. I had seen a dermatologist before, and he's like, I'm pretty sure it's rosacea. I did the treatment, and he said, it's still there. I don't know
Mm.
what kind of damage I've done to it, but it's definitely something that's always there. I just look really rosy cheeked all the time. But
Yeah, you don't need a blush. Why not?
no. Um, but I think that's a wild kind of concept that you're letting, 10, 11, 12 year olds go into Sephora and pick out what can be really damaging to their skin. Um, I find, yeah, wild a little bit.
Yeah. So the whole thing I would say definitely is just avoid chemical exfoliants, because when you're young, your skin is able to do that sloughing off on its own. right?
Mm-hmm.
As you get older, it's just you're just generally just getting a lot lazier, so your skin doesn't do a very good job of it. Yeah, so chemical exfoliants. The very important thing with like exfoliating acids and retinol is that you got to start low and slow. It's
Mm,
one of those things like that just if your skin will do exactly what you did. I
mm,
think that you probably had something that had too high of a concentration of some sort of exfoliating acid,
mm.
and then your skin was just like,
Yeah,
what the
wash.
hell is
Yeah.
going on? And then you gave yourself a deep chemical peel. People pay a
Yeah.
lot of money for it. So
I know.
you're probably like
Mm.
40 years, 50 years way too
I look
early
so
on that
young.
train.
My sister would argue with that.
But yeah, definitely it's one of those things. And I would say also that it's super important to watch out is, a lot of people are like, oh, you just read the ingredients on the back. I read the ingredients on the back. I know what they mean. I'm
Mm.
pretty sure
Not
the
everyone does.
majority of people don't know what it means. They have no understanding whatsoever. But yeah, so there's a lot of products out there that that will advertise a particular ingredient,
Mm.
and in no way does that mean that ingredient is the highest concentration in the
Mm.
entire formula. So just because something is
Is in
saying,
there.
ooh, this is packed with hyaluronic acid, nothing says that it has more hyaluronic acid than any other ingredient in the formula.
Mm.
It's just the one that they've picked to advertise it and do the marketing on it. And that says nothing about it not containing something else that is of a stronger grade.
Mm.
So, like a retinol or an exfoliating acid or something like that. And so, when you see something that just says, oh, hyaluronic acid, you're like, oh, it's going to hydrate me and that's all it's
Mm.
going to do. Not necessarily. It could contain something else that you need to watch out for.
What I was going to say, what can parents do, or what would be the suggestion as to what to look out for on the back of packaging when it comes to the younger kids and what's on the packaging?
I wish, and I don't know if it exists out there, so we might have to go and have a little checkout. But there's these apps now that you can scan like the back of foods, and it'll
Food.
tell you
Mm.
like if it's good or not or blah 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 blah.
Mm.
I wish somebody would create an app that you could scan the INCI list on the back. So the INCI list is like the regulatory list of ingredients that you have to have on
Yeah.
skincare. Like that's just by law. I wish there was an app that could scan an INCI list and tell you of all of the things of like their classification and what to watch out for. Because
Mm.
if a parent had that on their phone and they could just go into Sephora with their kids and they're like, oh, I want this new blah 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 blah, they
Mm.
could be like, wait a second, let me just have a
See
look,
what it
and then they'd
is.
be
Yeah.
like, no, there's retinol and it's going to burn you. So that's it.
And you
Yeah.
bring up a good point. So one thing you learned very early on in marketing is that once you get the younger generation and you build the brand, you know, the brand uh, bond, I
Loyalty.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, brand loyalty. That's the word. That's a better word. The brand loyalty at such a young age, you do have a chance to keep them for a really long period of time. So I do think that a lot of these brands are actually packaging, and a lot of their marketing, like influencer marketing and things like that, are very. I would say they're probably not just targeting young kids, but it is targeting a younger generation than it ever was before. Like you look at a Clinique or Estee Lauder and all those brands, they were always targeting the older crowd. They
Mm,
weren't really going for the teenagers. Now you look at all the brands now, and it's all bright colors and young influencers, and really young influencers too, in terms of
yeah.
what they're doing to their skin. So it is going to be a hard ask of a lot of these parents to say, look, check the packaging, check what the ingredients are. Are there any brands you like in terms of that younger generation? Anything that keeps it organic, I guess, is a big one. Anything that stands
No,
out?
not off the top of my head. No.
We can add some
Um,
into the comments.
yeah, if we'll do a bit of research and find out. Nothing that jumps out at me at the moment, simply because it wouldn't. I think it would be have to be a brand that specifically makes a
Aimed at that.
range for
Mm,
preteens and that does like builds their brand around it,
yeah.
because for the most part it's such a small demographic that
Mm,
it's not in their best interest to just keep it to that demographic. They're going to want to, and for them to be able to target other ones and actually put out products that deliver on the claims that they make, they would have
yeah.
to include yeah, certain ingredients that just aren't safe for kids. Yeah.
And that's a good point, because there aren't any brands right now. You kind of go from baby skincare all the way through teen and even older, and there's kind of
Yeah.
nothing in that range.
Hey, that makes
Um,
a good point, actually. Baby skincare.
I
Mustela or something
was
like
gonna
that.
say, well, I mean, at that such a young age, anyway. I mean, their skin doesn't really need a lot when it comes down to it. Washing your face, as you've said, with a little bit of water, and maybe
Yeah.
some moisturizer, because obviously that other thing, which is, you know, I've seen a lot of influencers when it comes down to what they're being classified as like natural, so they won't wash their hair, and then their hair automatically washes itself after like 8 weeks or whatever the
All right, it's not a
decision.
vagina. Your hair's not your vagina. It's not going to do that.
But I
Sorry, I had
mean,
to
so
take
many
it there.
people have claimed that it's self washing, and I wondered, yeah, is that the same for young kids' skin, which is just don't touch it and see what happens, or it's probably not the same.
I mean, I remember distinctly as a kid that my body wash was my face wash.
Oh yeah,
Which in retrospect probably wasn't the best thing because your
mm,
body wash is probably got like a
a little
higher
bit harsher.
yeah, it'll be harsher because it's going to have like more soap, like a higher surfactant level so that it can actually get, because your body's definitely going to have more dirt, especially as a kid and stuff,
Mm.
that it's going to have to clean off. So your face definitely doesn't need that level, but my skin didn't freak out from using my body soap on my face,
I
you
was going
know.
to say, a few people have actually said, talking about anti-dandruff shampoo on their face. They've
Okay.
liked that because of, it cleans their face and stuff. But again, not something that I know much about.
You probably don't want to use too much of it. The reason why that is because your dandruff is like, it's from a
Skin.
yeast.
Mm,
It's a
mm,
yeast on your skin that is like having an overgrowth. So your skin has a lot of stuff on it. Lots
mm.
happening. Don't know if you've ever seen like the tiny little
The
eyelash
bugs in your
bugs that
eyes.
just
Yeah.
that just live there. You know, they're your little buddies. They're in there. Your skin is the same. It has like yeast. It's got bacteria and stuff, and it needs all of that. Just like your gut has all of the
Mm,
bacteria and your microbiome and all of that. You're living in synergy with all of that, and if you use that too much, you're
wipe it
killing
away.
off like the natural environment that is your skin. And
Mm,
if you start getting like, this is what people say, like they think that they have dry skin when they get like the flaky
mm,
skin around their nose and like just above your eyebrow and stuff like that, and they think they just have dry skin. That will be the overgrowth of yeast. In this case, I
mm.
recommend using for a short amount of time, because you don't want your skin to get used to it and you don't want to like kill too much off,
Yeah.
dandruff shampoo. So that'll be like the ketoconazole 1%. You can buy that over the counter,
Yeah,
super
yeah.
easy. But you use it like, every night for 3 nights and see how it goes.
And
Something
see.
like that. Yeah. But then they're talking about the forehead pimples, aren't they? Like the texture thing. That's
To
usually
be
what I've
honest, it was
seen.
just a video I saw very quickly that was
Yeah.
saying I never wash my face except for when I, washing my hair, and I do it with dandruff. And I was like, oh, there you go. And
I
it's
feel
funny because the other thing I'll point out, especially on social media, which is also, again, a little bit crazy in terms of that, but everyone's skin is different. And this is
oh yeah.
what I've taken far too long to learn, that like what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for the other. Like I have gone through so many different like products, so many different routines, so many different like I'm now doing this one where I wash my face for a minute because that's the new thing that they tell you online and stuff like that. I'm highly, influenced by this shit. Like I'm the last person that should be
Can I give a
commenting on
piece
that.
of advice for
Mm,
anybody who's like, ooh, washing your face for a minute? That only works
mm.
if you have an active in your cleanser. If your
And I wouldn't
cleanser
know.
is just a cleanser, so if it's got like salicylic acid
Mm,
or glycolic acid or anything like that, the whole point of it is for it to wash off like the dead
mm,
skin cells and stuff like that. In that case, yes, leave it on for a minute, because otherwise you're just not going to see the results, and you probably
yeah.
paid extra money to have those ingredients in there. If it doesn't tout any of those claims, you're probably just looking at a barreled cleanser and you're just leaving it to dry out your skin for a full minute. So
Again, great at this skincare stuff that I am. I'm still learning. I mean,
that's okay.
in
So
my
I'm here
late
for.
30s. um, I guess the other thing is like, especially with the young kids, what I guess concerns me is you do have kids messing about with products that are highly they do have chemicals in it. There are things that are going to cause issues for them. But I guess for them, for example, and I'll tell you a horror story about this, but anyway, when you do have a pimple, one here and there, because I know young kids are still getting that because the hormones are a little bit different these days. I still remember toothpaste was put on
to dry it
spots.
out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, they
So that
have
was
better
one thing.
now.
Huh?
They have way better. It's my
Yeah.
favorite thing, honestly. Like I would love to come out with my own eventually, but they're called hydrocolloid
The spot
patches.
stickers.
I
Yeah.
love
To
them.
be
They're
fair, I love them.
brilliant.
Yeah.
They are only good for whiteheads. Anything that
Okay.
has come to a head, it'll suck it
Suck
all
it all
up
out.
throughout the night, and then you pull it off in the morning and you can see it all in there,
Yeah.
and you've
I
just got
love
like
them.
a essentially a hole where your
Mm.
pimple was left. You do have to let that,
Breathe.
have some air time and shrink back and stuff like that. But yeah, I do love that. I would highly recommend that over anything else. It doesn't
Mm.
contain any ingredient
Nasties.
in there that is bad, or at least they haven't come out with any that I've seen. But yeah, definitely that would be what I would suggest. Like, just leave it on overnight. The next morning, you're sort of, you know,
And what
okay.
about in terms of, because you just talked about you had cystic acne.
Mm.
Is there, what's the difference between cystic and then just really bad acne, I guess? Because
So,
one's
people who have cystic acne can also have, sorry, like normal regular acne. When I say that, I mean like
it's
whiteheads and
underneath.
stuff like that. Yeah,
Mm.
so cystic is very, very deep in the layers of your skin. So
Mm.
it's probably like two to three layers down. It can be anything from like a follicular infection.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where like a bacteria has entered through like the hair,
The
like
pore.
follicle
Mm.
pore, and gone really down low. I'm not sure that happens that often. But for the most part, the majority of people who get cystic acne, it'll be hormonal.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably why all your mates were on Roaccutane,
Mm.
because it's gonna, yeah, pretty
I mean,
much
do they
like
still
make
give
everything.
out Roaccutane?
Oh yes,
Okay. So it's
yes,
still a thing.
yes, yes.
So maybe don't,
Yeah,
hopefully no preteens are listening to this because they know they can get drunk quicker. God, parenting
yeah. We
tips
can.
101.
We're doing great. We're
This is
great parents.
amazing. Um, so in terms of, I guess in conclusion for the parents out there that do have preteens, what is something or what are the things that they A need to be looking out for, and B, how do we combat the teens wanting something like a, I'm just calling out the product of drunk elephant because it is one of the
Mm,
brightest ones. What kind of, what are they, how are they combating this, I guess? Because one of the things I was thinking is that talking your teen through the fact that yes, skincare is great, but what you do right now will affect you in your teens. And I feel like giving them that advice and saying you can get, your skin could get worse in your teens if
mm,
we don't treat it properly now. And if we
yeah,
treat it properly now, we have a less chance of getting bad skin during our teens. So that conversation, excuse me, I think is really important, and explaining that to them I think is important, because I think at that level and at that age, you are very,
yeah,
all about looks, beauty,
yeah.
and a lot of
I th-
those areas.
I think one of the biggest things I would say probably is, if you don't know much about skincare yourself and you have kids, first of all, don't just let them go
Buy anything.
wild and
Mm.
just buy things willy-nilly. It's not going to go well. The other thing is, like, if for the most part, like, these kids are going to do what they're going to do. That's the
Mm.
reality. I mean, we have kids, we have little to no control over what they have because they're so strong-willed. That's just
Oh
the
yeah.
reality. Yeah. So you kind of have to like go with the flow and try and like nudge them back in the right area and make sure
Mm.
that nobody dies. Not that you're gonna die from using that,
And just
but
keep
what I would
everyone
say,
alive.
just keep everyone. This is the
Yeah.
main
The
mission.
minimum level of effort.
Exactly. I
Okay.
would say go on the journey with them. I mean,
Mm.
even if you're not into skincare, you might actually learn something. It's great. You might
Mm.
end up with less wrinkles developed throughout your life. It's great. I would say that you,
Yeah.
when you go to these places, Sephora, Mecca, like any of those pharmacies, there's people there that are knowledgeable and who
Mm,
will be able to give you advice. So if your child wants the new drunk elephant, the new blah, you could go to the person and say, "Hey, are there any, exfoliating acids are bad, retinols are bad, but it's not just retinols. There's all the different kinds of retinols
mm,
and tretinoin and like retinol precursors and stuff like that." So you just ask those questions and say, are there any ingredients like that in this product? If not, sure, you can have it. If there is, sorry, you're going to have to pick something else.
yeah. That's
Simple as that.
Yeah, that's good advice, because I also think I really liked what you said about going on the journey with them, because I do think that's important, and having a little ritual together is actually kind of
Yeah.
a nice thing, where you can talk about, like, one of the things I want people to take away, especially parents of kids at that earlier ages, is whatever they're learning online, one of the most important things you need to kind of make sure that they understand is that question everything. Don't just
Mm.
assume when someone says something online that it's what
Yeah.
it is, and that it will work for them, or that there is science behind it or anything like that. So I think having a conversation also about making sure that if you see something magic online, something that's going to, fix your problems, or address something you're upset about, have the conversation that they must question everything. So if they truly want to know if something is, what it says, go look at reviews. Make sure you get a lot of people that have verified this fact. Also, see if you can find out information online about. A lot of people will deal with scams, and a lot of people will actually put out there that something is a scam. It's just a matter of understanding it better. I think they probably do understand it better than us, realistically.
Mm.
But I think parents have to be aware that, yeah, you need to be as informed as possible,
Yeah. And
especially
it's
on
so
this
hard
era.
because nowadays they all have phones, they all have tablets and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
that's one of the things, like, thank God our kids are still young and we still have like a solid amount of time to make a plan.
yeah.
But like, you can't leave them. There's all these videos of, once you watch a video fully on social media, it'll just feed you the same crap.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like, people, like kids, both girls and boys, going and playing these innocent video games online, and then they would be freaking old ass men predators, and
On
then
like Roblox
they'd,
and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, shit like that, and then they show up at their houses. I'm like, I don't want that to happen. It's like,
I'm going to give you the best advice I got about this, because I was freaking
yeah,
about social
get a
media. And
gun.
huh? Yeah.
Get a gun.
Well, again, from a friend of mine, so definitely not from me. But one
Yeah.
of the best things she ever said to me was, stop worrying about social media right now. Your children are so young. What they are going to experience in when it comes time. So technology is changing so quickly that we won't even be in the same area in terms of social media, in terms of
True.
anything. It will just be a different level playing field. And so worry about it then, because right now, what you're seeing kids go through in that teenage years, because our kids are both toddlers, won't even be the same. Be completely
Yeah.
different existence, completely different new things to worry about and be scared of. I can only
Yeah.
hope there'll
Yeah.
be some regulation when it comes down to it.
Mm.
Look, I know that's a controversial thing in terms of some people don't like regulation, some people do, free speech, all those things. The internet is a dangerous place in a lot of cases. I'm not saying in all the cases, but it is. I think the rate of suicide for young boys and girls when it comes to social media has gone up. Um, Living your life online, it says two people that are about to live their lives online for their business, but it's it's dangerous, it's scary, it's just all sorts of things. And I think we have to address it as parents. You and I think will have to address something else completely different down the track, but I think you got to start putting the little seeds in, I guess, to some degree
Mm.
with your kids when they're younger, and talk about, what you read, what you see, what you hear. Verify things. Don't just hear things as fact, because that's no longer the world we live in.
These brands, and especially because you've got Korean skincare is making a huge
Mm,
wave.
huge.
I mean, yeah, they're huge now. Like, people just navigate towards that just purely because it's K beauty, and
Yeah.
there's like Japanese beauty and stuff like that. And they're extremely good at doing their packaging in a
Mm,
way that is extremely appealing to the younger generation, because there's the whole kawaii, like,
mm.
everybody
And
wants to be cute.
K-pop and
And
stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's something
Mm,
for even for adults and stuff like that. So for them, like, if anybody questioned them about why, like, their motives of like trying to advertise, to be like, no, that was always what we did
for the
before.
adult. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I would say, is one of the things to be even more careful about, is because, yeah, they're the childish packaging
Mm,
is appealing to your kids, but they were originally actually done for adults, and those adults, again, are looking for the ingredients that are going to keep them looking,
young.
like a plump little grape,
Yeah.
um
You even see
yeah,
the younger kids with the lip plumpers and stuff. You know those ones that
yeah,
burn the ever living crap out of your lips, and you're like, oh, it
yeah.
stings, but look at
I
me.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know
Um,
what they do in that.
no, actually, I should look at the
Yeah,
back of those packets. A lot of that I've seen online as well, which is the young
yeah,
girls like getting. I've got tiny lips. I really,
yeah.
I could do with a little bit of plumping, um, but yeah, I've seen a bit of that as well. So, and that's coming
Yeah.
straight from Korea and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's only temporary. It's
It
not
is.
like
It
a
is.
full thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But the other thing I was gonna say is also, cool thing is, in Switzerland, they've actually,
Mm,
in pharmacies, they no longer allow their staff to sell retinol containing products to preteens,
that's
which is
great.
really good. I think it's such a good, like, it's a good starting point
Mm,
for all of these other, like, outlets of, beauty products to start, taking it quite seriously, is because
yeah.
the damage, like, you would have noticed, like, you did that how many years ago, and you're still dealing with the repercussions of it. I mean, that is
Yeah.
the reality of it. And you used it the one time,
Yeah. I
right? And
definitely
these
didn't go,
girls
do you know what? I'll try it again. Was definitely not that stupid when I was a teen.
I loved peeling my entire
Mm,
face off. It was great. No, but it's for the it's even more damaging, and it's
mm,
long term damage that you're doing to
mm,
your skin. And one of the major things that people don't is the fine print. It's like, read the instructions,
mm.
read the ingredients, all of that, but also read the fine print, because a lot of times, um, products that contain that type of ingredients, you're not actually supposed to expose your skin to sun,
Sun. Mm.
to sunlight. So you have to do like SPF 50 and reapply every 2 hours. Otherwise, your skin's gonna take the hit.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I don't think I've ever thought about that.
Mm.
God, my skin must hate me. Um,
Sorry, we'll revamp your whole skincare routine.
yeah,
But
all
the
right.
last point I wanted to bring up,
Mm,
and this is the latest thing that dawned on me, was that I was victim of the 15-step skincare
mm,
routine that started years and years and years and years ago.
mm,
And I thought it was the best thing, because, the more the better, which is
mm,
such a lie.
mm.
Such a lie. More rarely means better,
Yeah,
especially in skincare. And the biggest thing that actually scares me, especially in preteens, and that's something that I really hope that people are going to dive deeper into, is, if you are like me and you decide that the 15 scares skincare routine is for you,
mm,
you have to realize that each of those products most likely contain a preservative,
mm.
that a lot of preservatives are endocrine disruptors, which means they disrupt your hormone development and
Yeah,
your
yeah,
hormone production. And when you're a preteen, you're just on the brink of, and you need your hormones to be in the right levels
yeah,
to be doing what they need to do to turn you into an adult.
yeah,
And so when you're doing that, you're exposing, because we only ever had like the preservatives from our body wash, your shampoo and stuff
yeah.
like that. But you have that, and then you have each
Add
other
on
product. Oh my god, I can't imagine, because there's no way that they all use the
the
same
same.
preservative. There's
Mm.
so many different types of preservatives out there. Not all of them are endocrine disruptors, but how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know that they're not?
Such a good point, because there was a Guardian
Mm.
article that came out recently which talked about this exact topic, which was multiple brands using multiple different preservatives in their skincare. And that comes from
Yeah.
baby stuff all the way through
Mm.
adult things as well. Was that the amount of preservative that they're topping up on top of each other with all the different types of skincare they're using does have, does have and can have a negative effect on their actual their nervous system. So,
Mm. Yeah.
their mental health. It actually gets to that point, and so that's such a good, you know, a good point for parents to understand that if you are using multiple different things all the time, that's affecting the way that their hormones are working, and especially at that
Mm.
earlier stage. Yeah, that's so disruptive.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
put the article in the link as well.
That would be fantastic. I
Mm,
was with yeah, the final point I would say is like, yeah, just don't say no to the skincare. It has its benefits as in getting your habits sorted so that you have good habits when you grow older and you
mm,
need to be using different things to protect yourself and protect your skin. But keep it to a minimum.
mm.
Nobody needs a 15 step skincare routine.
No,
You need to wash your face, you need to hydrate it, and you need a sunscreen.
yeah,
That's all you need. Really, really.
three
That's the
step.
the basics. Three
Mm.
steps, easy. You can't go wrong with that. You don't need 15 different serums.
And look,
I
it's
love a
something.
serum, but no.
Yeah, I was going to say I do love a serum, but I also don't know what half of them do to me, because I don't read the instructions. One of the things I will say is that we are looking at possibly a pre-teen line further down the track, because we are conscious of this situation when it comes to the preteens, and we will package it in a way that they think it's fun, that it is exciting, but it is going to have such minimal product, such minimal ingredients. It's
Ingredients.
going to be really really in terms of what it does to their face is clean, moisturize, sunscreen, but do it in a way that appeals to the kids, I guess, so that they feel like they're part of that, and it also builds up their confidence in skincare to then start working towards that. I'd even say that we do things like make sure that we're very clear on the packaging, in terms of whatever everything does, the ingredients, and things like that, so they start to really think about it. I don't think that's a
Yeah,
something we're going to work on.
absolutely.
Cool.
It's going to be great.